Recovery planning is a modern endeavour undertaken by the Australian Government to prevent biodiversity loss and consequentially protect the country's ecosystem services. Despite decades of applied effort and millions of dollars spent on developing this conservation tool, knowledge on the effectiveness of recovery plans is limited. The aim of this video is to provide a critical appraisal of recovery planning in Australia and evaluate its appropriateness as a conservation and management tool. So how does recovery planning work? And what are some of the major components of a recovery plan? According to the Australian Government Department of Environment and Energy, recovery plans are implemented by the Minister for the Environment. The Minister is responsible for reviewing conservation-based research on threatened fauna, threatened flora, and threatened ecological communities that are listed under the Commonwealth Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act. This is before they are accepted and later applied. Recovery plans document the research and management actions deemed necessary to stop species decline and support their recovery. Their overall aim is to maximise long-term survival. This is reportedly achieved by stating what must be done to protect and restore important populations of threatened species and habitat, as well as how to manage and reduce threatening processes. By providing a logical and reader-digestible framework for key interest groups and responsible government agencies, recovery plans are supposed to enable the coordination of applied efforts to improve the situation for Australia's unique wildlife and habitat. When summarised, recovery plans sound like an effective method for improving the status of biodiversity conservation in Australia. And indeed, there have been some major success stories in recent years of mammals improving their IUCN Red List status because of strategies outlined in their respective recovery plans. For example, the bridled nail-tail wallaby found in central Queensland has recently improved its status from endangered to vulnerable. Since an extensive population decline in the earlier 20th century, a translocation program has successfully since established new populations within protected areas and consequently greatly improved the species' likelihood for survival. While it's important to give credit where it's due, from an overall perspective, recovery plans are achieving positive outcomes at a rate far slower than species and communities are being threatened. Major threats such as habitat loss and degradation, climate change, invasive species, eutrophication, pollution, and overexploitation of natural resources that have been brought about by the past actions of our predecessors threaten more and more unique Australian species as time passes. Australia has the fourth highest number of extinct species in the world now, according to the IUCN. Australia also has the world's highest mammal extinction rate, and recently we have observed the world's first mammal extinction due to climate change. So why aren't recovery plans in Australia achieving greater success? It seems contradictory to think that the country's brightest scientists and conservation organisations are simply failing because of a lack of effort. One review found that although the three levels of government in Australia are involved in recovery planning, it is the states and territories that have the most active role in preparing and operating recovery plans. According to experts, the result is a lack of organisation and coordination across Commonwealth, state and territory agencies. In turn, this leads to inconsistencies between programs across jurisdictions and poor prioritisation of conservation action. In addition, there are no established standards in monitoring and re-evaluation for recovery plans. As such, conservation efforts are often wasted due to a lack of maintenance. The review also found that in general, the understanding of threatening processes and the establishment of recovery criteria in Australian recovery plans was poor. So now that we know what's going wrong, what can be done as we move into the future? If Australia wishes to retain its beautifully diverse landscapes and unique flora and fauna, the Commonwealth Government should improve its recovery planning standard by establishing mandatory monitoring and review reports, creating a national forum on threatened species, and establish a national management information system. Thank you for watching.